Hey everybody, Matt Holland here with the Renegade Games, filling in for Amanda tonight on the Renegade radio show. A little bit about what's going on with Renegade. You may have seen that Renegade Con Virtual is coming February 12th through 14th. So tickets are currently available. There's demos, there's some really cool workshops, just all kinds of stuff for you to do from the comfort of your own home since we can't all be together. So make sure to head over to the Renegade Games website and you'll find all the information on that. Additionally, Altered Carbon RPG is now available. So you can pick that up at your friendly local game store or the Renegade Game Store. Awesome setting. If you've seen the Netflix show, if you've read the books, the ability to jump between worlds and have your consciousness transported into that stack. Awesome possibilities for role playing. Additionally, Hadrian's Wall, now available for pre-order. That's the newest game coming from Garpel Games in partnership with Renegade. Really cool. You play a Roman general who is manning Hadrian's Wall, having to both build it up and defend against the Picts. And as always, we stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday being Power Rangers, Wednesday being Vampire Wednesdays, as you guys saw just 2 days ago, and Friday being the Renegade Society radio show, which is this. So we are a lot of content that we like to do for you guys on Twitch. And tonight we're going to be giving away a game as usual. Tonight's game, I'm told, is Clip Cut Parks. So sometime during this interview, I will give you a code word. You'll type that into the link that Desiree will put in the chat, and you'll be entered to win a copy of Clip Cut Parks. Really cool. It's like a roll and cut, flip and cut instead of a roll and write. I've heard really good things. I have a copy that I need to get to the table soon. And as always, if you've seen these before, feel free to ask questions in the chat for our guest. We will get to those at the end. But speaking of our guest, I'm here with Chris Goodlet, a.k.a. the Charity Boardgamer. Chris, how are you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Tell me a little bit about yourself, like who you are, what you do, and where do people find you, to interact with you.
Usually I'm like here in the basement. That's kind of where most people
Especially
find
these days. Like,
yeah, I mean most of the time, and it's kind of where my wife and kids put me. But no, where you can kind of find me right now is you can go onto our Facebook site or Twitch and look up the Charity Boardgamer or YouTube. And what we do is we talk. Our family does family-based reviews, and then we also do charity-based interviews, playthroughs. And then we do kind of little like charity marathons where we'll play different games for different charities and kind of have fun doing that. So we like to get as involved as we can with the board game community. So
sure.
just an example, we had Todd Rowland from AEG come on last night. We talked a little bit about, was it Friends of Hope Uganda? I think that's correct. Forgive me if I got it wrong. We talked about that organization and what they're doing over there. And then we played Sheepy Time right afterwards with some people. So, yeah, it's kind of what we do.
Nice. What does Friends of Hope Uganda do? Out of curiosity.
They help out with kids. Now, there's a lot of organizations that sponsor like communities that are over in other countries with just different funds and stuff, and that helps out towards the communities. That's great. But there's also, there's just the child itself. Not everybody actually. When a lot of people sponsor a child with certain charities, it doesn't just go towards a child. This one actually does go directly towards the child, helps them out. Helps out with their education and everything. An example, a story that Todd told me yesterday was there was a boy whose family was in a shack and they were renting the shack from a I guess a wealthier family, and the family decided that they were going to go ahead and push them out and move them out and basically tear the shack down. And so this boy was trying to do everything he probably could to provide for his family, meaning he was going out and he was trying to fish and try to get money for whatever fish he could get and at the same time feed his family. Well,
jeez.
Yeah. So this organization actually helped him find a boat to be able to do these things and also is helping him with his education as well. So he's able to provide for his family. They're actually living in a shack still. But they've got security and they've got a roof over their heads and be able to provide for their family. So that's kind of what they do.
That's awesome. It sounds like they're also kind of helping not only with the immediate providing for the family, but helping set them up for a better future with the education part too. That's really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of good organizations that are out there that help out with trying to get people into some sort of stability. Like even an example, we've talked to two different members of the board game community about Heifer International, which,
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
yeah, really great organization where you can actually sponsor and purchase a cow. Basically, purchase a cow, or you can purchase a goat, which will produce milk, produce more goats, take care of, basically, I mean, goats like to eat a lot of rummage and everything like that.
Yeah,
And then at the same time, that's meat. That can be a meal as well. So different
yeah.
things that they think about. And you can buy even a flock of chicks. So that way they have plenty of chickens and everything like that for eggs and then for, of course, meat as well.
That's awesome. Well, we'll get into some of the, some of your favorite charities that you've interacted with a little bit later in the interview. But for now, like, tell me, how'd you get started in gaming? What drew you to the hobby?
I liked Monopoly, Risk, Stratego, all those games like when I was growing up, Clue, especially
Sure.
when I was a kid. And I did that all the way up to high school. College came around. I thought, oh, I'm too cool for this. And so it kind of was one of those things where I just didn't really spend time doing that. I was spending more time with music, spending more time in college, just kind of put everything to the side and just kind of focused on my education. And I didn't get back into board gaming until about 2018, about the middle of the year.
Okay.
And yeah, kind of what happened was I was invited to a local church around our area. They were having a game night. I was very reluctant to go. I was like, why? I mean, there's video
Sure.
games. I could play video games, and that sounds like fun. That's good, right? So I went to it, and I got exposed to Catan. I got exposed to Werewolf, and then Pandemic. I
Mm,
fell in love with Pandemic, and it just was one of those fun things. It's like, okay, I'm playing a cooperative game. I was so used to playing competitive games
yeah.
with family and friends. I wasn't used to.
And the drama that can sometimes cause,
Oh
especially with
gosh,
some of
yes,
those older games like Risk or Monopoly.
yeah. Well, we had a great time playing it, and then we got involved with, I think, One Night Ultimate Werewolf, which for wife and myself and our three kids, that makes for a lot of fun. It's quick.
Hmm.
I used to work restaurants, so you would work like night shifts and you'd work day shifts, and your hours were so, like, working as a restaurant manager or working even as a server. It was so hard for me to actually have like a good stable amount of time and know what I was going to
Sure.
do with my family. So I was able to actually play that pretty quickly right before I left for work. And that's kind of how
Sure.
we did things. Or when I'd
That's
come
awesome.
home and I was worn out, we could just sit down, we could play it. Hey, 10 minutes later, we've played a few rounds of it, we're done. Very
So
quick.
really getting back into it in 2018, there's a whole lot of games that you can go back and look at these sort of past favorites, or I don't want to say they're old because a game from 2015 isn't old, although it, just in the way that the board game industry works, sometimes it may feel that way. But man, I am a little bit jealous of being able to go back and having so much access to so many amazing games.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I've really enjoyed is being able to play games that are new to us. Carcassonne.
Mm,
Carcassonne, I think I learned that late 2018. I mean, I love it. It's one of those games that's just fun. You're laying down tiles and
yep,
playing meeples, and I'm still learning mechanics. Like if somebody asks me, okay,
sure.
what's a rondel mechanic? It's something round, I'm guessing. And it's like, okay. But people are saying worker placement, all that stuff. But like the way I look at it is, okay, is it something that my family enjoys?
Yeah,
Is it something that I enjoy? I don't really. I mean, the mechanics don't really, to me, I'm not like, oh, I need to know the terminology because I'm a family
sure.
of five. I'm too busy to pay attention to that sometimes.
I can
Um,
imagine.
yeah, but no, it's been really cool. Like last year, I got exposed to Role Player. Role Player was what, 2016 release,
Yeah, yeah.
and I mean, my boys and I loved it. We had a blast playing it. My friend Justin, he was able to he was driving through to visit his grandmother, and he stopped by, and we just had a blast playing it. He taught it to us, and it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, this is really cool. It's fun to be introduced to new games and just be able to enjoy them around the table with people.
I
So,
absolutely agree with you. So, obviously we all love the board games, but what in particular got you inspired to do content creation, make a YouTube channel, a Twitch channel, and interact with the community in that way?
I have no clue, honestly. No, no. I think the thing that there was a couple things that kind of started it about. I just started getting involved with board games. I was like, oh, I was interested in doing Instagram and just kind of, talking about my experiences because I was excited. I wanted to share the joy and the excitement that I had with my family playing the games. And so I started doing that. And then I got invited to be a part of Extra Life with a team. And
Okay.
I was like, what is Extra Life? And Extra Life's a thing that an organization that helps out with Children's Miracle Network with different children's hospitals and helps out with kids and families. That's very important. Families, you think about it, cost of bills for cancer, for just even an emergency visit. An emergency is never expected. So
Yeah.
families need help with that stuff. Well, there's an organization that helps out with it. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? Oh, you just play games and you raise money. How? Okay, you're kidding, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I play
Okay.
games and I raise money. So my first year, I set a goal of 100. That's kind of the base for like beginners, and it was really cool. We hit 500. I was like, wow, this is awesome. So we've been doing stuff outreach related, just helping out with the community outside of board gaming. But the idea was, okay, well, let's try to start focusing more on board games and how it can continue to help out different charities. So I started doing a lot more with Extra Life in 2019, and then 2020 just has been crazy as well. And so um, around late 2019, 2020, I decided, okay, I want my focus for our family, and this is something that my wife and I have been very big into, is I want it to be about the good that we can do around a table. Um, and by saying that, if you I don't know if you all have seen that picture that Roxley did back in the day, where it says an atheist, a Muslim, a Christian, a Jewish person, they all sat down at a table and they had a good time. It was just that kind of mentality that people of
Sure.
different races,
That gaming
creeds,
can bring
cultures, yeah,
these people together. Yeah.
yeah. So the mentality to it is, okay, if we can gather at the table to have a good time playing games, why not do the same for good causes? So
Sure.
that's where we're talking about Extra Life. We're talking about Meeple-a-thon, which helps out with a homeless youth shelter. We talk about Black Girls Code, which is big. We talk about, of course, the Jack Fass Memorial Fund. Um, but being able to talk about these different things and actually help out, and then at the same time encourage other people that are trying to do stuff related to charity, it's been a blessing. So the idea behind it is, okay, the content part, it's fun. Reviewing is great. We enjoy it. We love that as a family. But it's just as important, I think, to remind the people there's a lot of crap going on, but we can make it better. And the only way we can make it better is by acting on it, actually getting off our duffs and doing something. You can be a sword to fight for the people that are in need. You can be a shield where you can protect somebody who's in need, or you can be a wallet and help fund those people to make a difference. So, yeah.
That's awesome. You talked a little bit about like the Heifer Project and that Ugandan charity. What are some of your favorite charities, or some of the most unique or like kind of cool charities that you interacted with through what you've been doing?
Um, I think one that I've really enjoyed, I have to say, is Meeple-a-thon, and that's David Syme. I'm pretty sure I said his last name wrong. It's Seim. But the idea of youth homeless um, in his neck of the woods, he actually helps out with the Hillcrest Platte County Youth Shelter.
Okay.
And what happens is these are kids that either have been kicked out of their home, um, which is just I. If you're a parent and you're kicking your child out of your home, there's something wrong. You're not a parent. You're not a parent at all. But here's kids that are either being kicked out of their home. There's kids that are actually going around being homeless, not being able to be taken care of. Um, and here's an organization that's saying, okay, come on in. We're going to help you get back into society. We're going to get you back into schooling. We're going to give you a chance to live and to thrive.
Sure.
That's an organization that I've been a big fan of. I'm trying to think of some other ones. The House of Afros, Capes, and Curls. That's with Jade Rogers. That's an organization that has done some really cool conventions called Afrocon.
Hmm.
That's one that's really brought to light uh, Black, Indigenous people of color. I think I said that right, but it makes it to where there's an inclusivity and understanding, and it really helps educate not just people that are of color, that hey, these things are okay to be. It's okay um, to like science fiction or to like this Afro. I think it's called Afro science fiction. I forget the exact terminology,
Okay.
but there's things also like, okay, how do we as cis white people, um, how do we learn? How do we adjust? How do we address and show love and respect? And so she and I had a great conversation when she came on, and we were talking about Heroes of Afros, Capes, and Curls, and kind of how it came about in the discussion of, okay, what is it like for somebody that's different to walk into a convention and get stared at?
Yeah. Yeah. That's really great. Jade, I have not met, but we are going to be doing something with her that we'll be announcing soon. So keep an eye out for that.
That's awesome. I like the
Yeah.
sound of that. Some Let me try to think of another one. Ah, gosh, I've got some actually on my Twitch page that I put so people can just click right on it.
Oh,
Oh,
sure.
I know. The Brown House. It's called the Brown House. It's an organization in the Alabama area. They help out with families who are in need. They even have like tutoring systems and stuff like that to help out kids. Um, and I heard about that first through James Hudson. He did before I started doing the video interviews. I started doing written ones, and so he was telling us about that. And
Oh,
that's
sure.
one that we started doing like a small little merch store. And the idea is we start selling all of our stuff, and my wife and I decided, okay, 40% of the profits go back towards the site, towards what we're doing, but 60% of the profits go back towards the different charities. So that's one that we actually make it a
Nice.
point to help out with. Yeah. Let me see here. Gosh, now I want to go check it. I need to go to my
That's great. You
Twitch.
must just get exposed to so many kind of unique and really impactful charities that are not maybe the big ones that everybody knows. Everybody knows about, like, United Way
Yeah.
and
Everybody knows
things
Salvation
like
Army,
that. Yeah,
United
yeah.
Way, but there's
And
ones
there's
that are
so many
local.
smaller ones that are doing a much more like hyper focused thing, and they do really really great work too.
Yeah, I mean, there's like the 412 Food Rescue, which is around the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, and what they do is they help get food from the different grocery stores that maybe do not look the most beautiful to people,
Sure.
but still is in still good condition and could still be used. And so they make it a point to be able to use that so that way they can give it to families and people that are in need. Let's be honest, grocery bills are not cheap. You go out to a grocery store and you're planning for what, maybe 2 weeks of food. You're planning anywhere between $50 to $350
Oh yeah.
in groceries. But yeah, another one, Lacuna Loft. Lacuna Loft, they help out with younger cancer patients. We're talking about ages 40 and under. They have support groups. They do board game, like little game type nights,
Sure.
but it's really a nice support group organization. They talk about serious topics that a lot of maybe a little off to some, but let's be real. There's
But
people
that are
that
important to talk about
yeah,
if
like
you're going through that.
relations. People want to talk about relations and like, okay, I have cancer, but I have a partner and I want to show love to that partner. How do I go about this? How do I show that love and I'm still dealing with this pain?
Hmm.
Like they have serious deep conversations about stuff like that.
Man.
um then there's the Great Plains Gaming Project, Pathways Fellowship. Those are two that help out with was it Pathways Fellowship helps out with diversity in games, actually in our industry, which is really cool.
Hmm.
Save the Elephant Foundation, that was one that I found which was interesting. um yeah, these are the ones that I have just on the Twitch.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, yeah,
And what's
that's
in your Twitch channel is what again? So if somebody wants to
uh
go and check those out.
yeah, it's twitch.tv/the Charity Boardgamer. That's
Awesome.
that's what it is. Yeah, and if you want to see any of our past interviews that we've had with different members, just hop on our YouTube. It's the exact same thing. The Charity Boardgamer. Try to make it easy because if I don't, I'll forget it myself.
Sure,
So
sure.
yeah.
Well, that is really cool, Chris. So what about Renegade games? What's your favorite Renegade title, or some that
Okay.
you particularly enjoy with your family? You got
Okay.
I'm a little jealous, not gonna lie. You've got a 5 player game right there at the house. I've got a 2 year old, so I've been playing a lot of Haba games with him, but
Hubba's
only three
great though.
players.
I mean, Hubba's great. They've got a lot of early learning and development, and then
Yeah.
as they get older, you can add the family line to it, which has been really well done. like Cloaked Cats. Great game for kids, especially learning deduction. Um, I think, oh gosh, my mind went blank on some of the ones that I sent to Desiree, but the one that stands out right now is actually behind me. It's Cat Tower.
I
Cat
say I
Tower
saw
is just,
the big eyes there peeking over your
oh yeah,
shoulder.
yep. It's not too far from I think my Christmas sweater Spider-Man Funko Pop from last year. But yeah, it's just one of those fun games. It's dexterity, it's roll of the dice. You decide where you're going to place on top of the different tower, and then you just kind of have fun with it. And you you see if it falls, and if it does, you have to take at least two of them back, and then the rest go back into the box. So it's not as stressful, which is kind of cool. What's fun though is seeing who can stack the fastest. There's a variant mode where whoever can stack the fastest grab the dice in the middle and put it on top so that way the cat has the fish because cats are wanting the fish. I mean, we had a fish and we had that fish for 5 years, and of course for the longest time we just got these three cats in the course of 2 months, and the cats are like, I'm just going to stick my head in here, don't worry, I want to see what's going on, and I'm hungry, but a little paw here and there. But I mean, never thought we would have had a 5-year-old goldfish, but we did.
Oh,
So
jeez.
yeah.
Yeah. Cat Tower is it's one I have. I have not got a chance to play it yet. Anything else from Renegade that comes out to the family table? How old are your kids? Like, what
Our
what sort of range are we talking?
we've got Abigail. She's 14, so she is very much a teenager. She gets embarrassed by dad whenever I sing Taylor Swift or try to floss in the middle of a store. Um, then we've got Daniel. He's 12. He is very much he is the Jan Brady of the group, in the sense that he is very, if it's not fair, he's very quick to point it out, but he's very I think he is very empathetic to other people and their feelings, which
Sure.
is really good.
Yeah.
And he sees the beauty in all things. Like when we're doing reviews, he looks at the aesthetics of the game. And then we have Elijah. He's 9. He is pure chaos. So that is who that is, and he is a diehard fan of cats. So any of the games that we've ever gotten with cats in it, he gets excited and ecstatic. We just got Calico from AEG, and flat
Heard
out
good things
he's
about
like,
that.
yeah. And we have the little we have the promo that looks like our little cat Sevi. We named it
Nice.
Sevi because the kids like Severus Snape. So
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. That's a really good spread for be able to play a lot of different things with them too.
Oh gosh, yes.
Right in that sweet spot.
Yeah, the 5-player games I think have been really good for us to be able to play. Oh, bingo, Gudetama, Gudetama,
Mm.
Gudetama Tama, Gudetama Tama,
That thing is just so cute.
Gudetama.
Like this little like egg guy. My son doesn't know anything about the game, but he's seen the box and he's just like, "Ooh, egg!" and he loves the art.
Oh, it's cute. It's a cute game, and for trick taking, it's a lot of fun. We played it during both of our Extra Life events, I think that we had, and we got Matt to come on and demonstrate it for one of them, if I'm correct, and we had a blast playing that. Matt Titlebaum. So
Okay, I
not
was
you,
gonna
Matt
say
Holland. Sorry.
there's a lot of mats as I found at Renegade. It's like mostly mats in the company, plus like Scott, Sarah, and Desiree. So it's been a little bit of a. If somebody says Matt, I'm like, okay, which one? It doesn't narrow it down.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to give everybody the code word for our giveaway for Clip Cut Parks. So warm up those keyboards. The code word is community.
Ooh, I like
Community.
that. That's a
Yeah.
good one.
It's the thing that is a big reason that so many of us play games and get involved with things like Board Game Geek and conventions and working with different publishers and stuff because the gaming community is just fantastic. Um, can you talk a little bit about how you approach players or like deal with a situation where people are just really, really competitive? Like I guess with your kids, maybe that comes up if you have a kid who doesn't want to lose. What's your
Oh,
sort of
I don't
strategies?
want to lose. What are you talking about? I don't want to lose. My kids,
Sweep the leg and carry on.
yeah, sweep the leg. That reminds me, I got to watch Cobra Kai later. Um, and then no, for me with addressing competitiveness with our kids, I think one of the things that helped us out a lot is bringing in cooperative games like Power Rangers. Power Rangers is a good example, because hey, you can have 5 players. Hey, 5 Power Rangers. Boom. Um, I think when you deal with certain competitive people, let them know, hey, this is a game. This is for fun. This is not a tournament. This is kind of one of those things where, like, if I'm teaching, I'm not teaching to win. I did a lot of demonstrating of games early. Was it in 2018 and then early 2019? Just kind of got to that level where, like, okay, I'm gonna have fun teaching this, and I want to teach it like I'm able to teach my kids, and for them to understand it and to respect it and to have fun doing it. And I tell people, hey, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Ask it. I'll be glad to help as we're playing through. If you want to show me your cards and you want to ask a question about how we're going to play this, please do. Like our kids, we play some games and it's like we have our cards out because I have a 9-year-old, and
Yeah.
the 9-year-old, somebody's like, what does this mean? And it's like, okay, yeah, we'll go through that.
And do
It's
you
nothing.
also pick games that, like, some games you really don't want to know what's in the opponent hand? Do you kind of pick games that are going to let you get away with that without any issues a little bit?
When I'm with my kids, we talk a little bit about the game. We learn it a little bit. What's nice is with my spouse, um, she helps out too with working with our youngest one. When it comes to getting the actual thoughts of our kids about the game, she'll actually ask them and kind of get their thoughts on it and everything, and then she'll type it up, and then I'll put together the full review afterwards. But for us, I mean, I try to find games that, for a new gamer, I try to find games that are a little bit easier for me to teach, that I know
Hmm.
that if I taught it, it would go well. I was surprised. We played It's a Wonderful World
It's a
the
great
other
game.
the other night, and I had a friend over, and he brought his girlfriend, and she had never really played games other than like the ones that we talked about: Monopoly,
Certainly.
Stratego, Risk. And we played that, and she loved it. And it's just something, I think it's all about the way that you approach a game to teach it, which will decide whether or not somebody's super competitive. If you act super competitive with that person, they're going to be just as competitive back. If you're laid
Sure.
back and relaxed with them, they're going to be more laid back and relaxed. It's just the same way, like if you're dealing with a customer who's yelling, if you yell back, it does no good. So what do? You get quieter.
Sometimes it feels real good just briefly,
Oh
but yeah,
gosh, yeah,
I'm with you.
sure. But I mean, it's just that idea. Okay, you get calmer,
Yeah.
you lower your voice, and you'll see that they slowly, as you relax, somebody else starts to relax. Their voice calms down. They get a little bit quieter. You get a little bit quieter, to the point where now they're doing the one thing that they weren't doing earlier: listening.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think you probably enjoy the same thing. I get a lot of satisfaction out of taking someone who has never played hobby board games, introducing them to a game that you can just see, like, you see their eyes light up, you see it click, and I just find a lot of satisfaction in that. My sister-in-law, I've played a lot of games with them. Some of them have liked some of them more than others, but the one sister was not really been a huge like fan of anything. Then we played Plank
Mm-hmm.
in Space, and just the hilarity of like the push your luck and the, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that draw out of the bag. She loved it. After we got done, she's just like, oh, that was so fun. Like she was just blown away by how good it was. And I'm like, yes, like we found the game that is gonna make her just be like, oh, like what else is out there? Like what else have I been missing on? And that's just so cool, I think.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things, is when you are teaching a game, like you just said, and there's that aha moment where they get excited and they light up just like you felt when you played that one game that, like I can go back to Pandemic. I can go back to that night, at that game night, and I can remember the games. And I'm just like, I can remember the memories. And I can remember the times at Origins 2019 where there I am sitting way too late in the hours playing games with people and just having a good time. The times playing Werewolf with those people that you thought were complete strangers and weird, and then you realize these people are going to be my best friends later in life. So it's
Certainly.
really cool. Yeah.
So with all these different interviews you've done on Twitch and YouTube, like what's been some memorable moments, things that really stood out as special or funny? What's been some things like that?
I don't know. I mean, funny. I mean, there's. I think some of my favorite moments are where we have deeper discussions. My favorite thing is like when I get done with an interview, if the conversation feels really good, we stop the interview, we turn off the live feed, and we just sit there for another. I think I'd say another hour or so talking.
Mm,
Um, Perfect example of that would be Monique, Game Freak Geek Girl. If you're not following her on Twitch, you need to, because she
okay.
is one of the most lovely, amazing people inside and out. She was part of Girls Game Shelf. But I think when we were talking about her daughter's bout with cancer and her battle with cancer, and just a discussion about Valkyrie and just about everything that she was going through, and as a parent, I God forbid that ever has to happen to me, but we're having this conversation about how she went to an organization down in Florida, and they they made they made her experience amazing,
Hmm.
um, and they really truly made the family's time great, and it's awesome because now her daughter is in remission and is cancer free, and it's beautiful. Um, but hearing that those stories on screen and then just continuing it off screen. Um, it's beautiful. I think those are my favorite moments is when we talk about those type of topics. My mother, she died 19 years ago this past Tuesday to cancer, which started in the breast and then worked to the bone. Jesse Samuel Anderson, known as Quackalope to a lot of people, he came on and we talked about both of our moms. Both of our moms both died of cancer. And so we talked about the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. We were blubbering and crying and ugly crying by the end. And
Sure.
then we talked about root beer. And, but it was just one of those conversations where we just had that kind of time where we can kind of just talk and just kind of be real and vulnerable. I appreciate those moments more than most things
Sure.
because that's where we truly can see changes in people and see the better in people is when we're able to just stop, put the fake aside, get rid of the glitz and the glam that we have on us, and just be like, it's all there, it's all out there for you. And that makes a big difference in people's lives. I mean, people aren't able to open up unless you're willing to open up yourself.
Sure.
So,
Has
yeah,
to be that kind of two-way street.
very very true. It really does.
Chris, do you think you could? Can you pick a favorite guest, or even like a top three, just in terms of the connection that you made, or the topic of discussion, or any of those things?
Um, I
Not
could.
to say that any of your guests were bad.
I'm sorry, Bonacor, you're not it. No, I'm just kidding. Um, Bonacor, I love Steven because he came on. We talked about the Jack Fast Memorial Fund, and for some reason I started with the video about Jack, and it was just like, oh my gosh, we were in tears the whole
Oh man.
time. But I think for one of my favorites, it has to be T from Haba. They are just an amazing, passionate person. Um, the one thing that I really like about them is when I met them at PAX Unplugged 2019, they were holding a dinosaur in their hand and they were playing with, was it the Viking? What is it called? Tal der Vikinger. It's Valley of the Vikings. So, and they were bowling with the dinosaur hand. And that just got me excited. That's how I started the interview, was with them actually doing that and then coming back up and just watching them laugh hysterically. And that was one of my favorites. Another one, like I said, Monique has to be one of my favorites. Jade Rogers is another one of my favorites when we talked about House of Afros, Capes, and Curls. And this was not too long after George Floyd and everything that was going on. So it was a very, it was very poignant. It was very thought provoking. And I think it was very important to have these conversations. Um, I'm trying to think who else really stands out to me. I mean, Jesse, of course, was one that I really enjoyed. Um, I think those would be some. Rachel Blasky. Rachel Blasky, who originally was of 524, and now is with, I think she's with White Wizard now, working with them. Just having conversation with her, I've developed a friendship with her since I met her at PAX Unplugged, and it just has been something amazing. She's been an amount of strength and friendship, which has been great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably go through the whole list and basically tell you
And
how
have
much I've enjoyed.
some special thing
Yeah,
about everybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's not a. It's entirely. I entirely realize it's not entirely a totally fair question saying like, oh here, rank all your friends from best to worst, and but
well,
that's awesome.
what's nice is that some of these people were not friends before,
Yeah.
and I think afterwards, just taking that time afterwards, cameras go off, we just keep talking, and we just develop that friendship. It's a nice thing to be able to do, like talking to somebody. Like, we have our Discord now, and those people are in there, and it's just kind of fun. It's like, hey, who wants to play a game tonight?
Sure.
Okay, very cool. And so we do. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been awesome doing that.
And it's probably been a nice way to substitute in some way for the fact that you're not seeing these people in person, this past year. I know that's the thing that I love about the conventions is there's a whole group of friends that that I see at conventions, and not seeing them this last year it's been tough because they're all genuinely great people who I would love to hang out with, and it's just not possible in the way that we normally have. And a vehicle like your interviews, gives you a chance to kind of keep some of those relationships going and even start new ones in isolation.
Yeah, yeah, it really does. I mean, I've already told most of the people that I've become friends with now that when convention season starts back up, there will be lots of hugs, as long as there's consent to the hugs, of course. But because, just that feeling of like, I just want to hang out, give you a big hug, have a good time, play some games, break some bread, go out to eat. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to Philadelphia and try whatever that giant smorgasbord of food is that you see everybody else has had. And it's like, I want that. I want all those fries and I want that steak. It looks so good. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
the
take my
post con
vegetarian
meals,
friends there. So
the
yeah.
post con meals are a thing that that I love, and having worked in convention production for most of my time in the industry, that's just the thing that I loved, and the fact that you can like just go get so much food because you worked your butt off all week, you deserve it. I do miss that kind of thing too, so
Yeah.
I feel you there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 2.5 hours away from Jenny's ice cream right now, and I just want to, because when I was at Origins, I did not go. I mean, I set a very small budget for myself to spend, and I did not spend.
So there are they in Columbus then, Jenny's?
Yeah, they're in Columbus. Yeah, so it's like you want to spend the money, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, I have a budget. Holy crap, I didn't think parking was that much. And oh my gosh, just simple like cheap meals and stuff are not that cheap. So yeah, it's crazy. And you think about it, I don't think I bought a single game when I was at Origins. I think I
Really?
just went.
That's a iron will.
Now I did work for a publisher and helped out. I helped out with the op, and they sent me some stuff later, that's awesome.
Sure.
But I did not get a single. I did not go out and buy a game. I think
I
when I went
cannot
to
say that
PAX,
about any show I've ever been to.
yeah, PAX Unplugged, I bought one thing,
What was
and
it?
that was Restoration Games Bruce Lee. Because I mean, I really wanted. I mean, Unmatched is just a fun game. I remember when it was before that, it was Star Wars Epic Duels, and I was like, oh my gosh, such a fun game. So that's what I got. And I did not think I was going to come home with games other than that. And I came home with games that people were like, hey, we'd like for you to go ahead and cover this. And I'm like, are you serious? You barely know me. I'm this no name person. Like, even being on here tonight, I'm like, why did they want to talk to me? You know? So,
No, and you have a great perspective, and just taking a look at people who are doing good things, interesting things. That's the kind of stuff that we want to feature on the Renegade Society radio show. So,
I appreciate
um, yeah, man. What's your current like gaming obsession? What's the thing that you just can't wait to play again, or that you've been trying to optimize your strategy for, or something like that?
I have no strategies. My kids have a strategy. It's called defeat daddy at any place possible, even in a co-op game sometimes. Um, I think, gosh, I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful for the games that I have, and so for me, it's what's the game that my kids are going to want to play, and I think that's the excitement that I have because
Sure.
if they're not in it, we're not going to play it, and
Yeah.
if we do play it, they're not going to feel it, and if they're not feeling it, I mean, that's
Nobody's
just
gonna have a good
yeah.
time like you want to, and
Yeah, I mean, for me, from a game from Renegade, I want to play some more Power Rangers. I think that would be one that I really want to play again, because I want to play. I've got the Shattered Grid expansion, and I want to play that because I love the idea that there's an evil version of Tommy Oliver that happened. That's kind of like, oh, he never turned to good. So it's kind of like, wow, that's kind of a cool storyline. Um, and then I think for like just another game, it's a wonderful world. I really enjoyed that. It's one that you could play it if you get the Corruption and Ascension expansion. You can play it up to 7 players, and I mean it's good because already we can play it at 5, but the cards add depth to the game.
sure.
Bigger
And it plays
rewards.
very quick too, which
Yeah,
which
it really
I
does.
which I thought was pretty cool. I played it at Board Game Geek Con. Though that's awesome, Chris. Do we have some questions from the audience, Desiree? If you do, audience, if you do have questions, now's the time to put them in because we've got Chris here. Like, let's get our money's worth.
I don't.
On a side note, Chris, I have not been to PAX Unplugged. That's like one of the only shows I haven't been to, and everybody will not stop talking about the reading market and all the food there, and I cannot wait to get to go.
Well, what's nice about it too, I stayed with the Pitry family of Pentree Games. They opened their guest room for me, and it was so nice. And then they took me out to this little bagel shop for breakfast one morning, and I was like, oh my gosh, they were so good. And then Michael treated me to a thing called crab fries. I don't know, it's just fries with a really nice seasoning on them, almost like an Old Bay style. And I thought that was just a fun experience. But I think the thing I really like about PAX Unplugged is it really does feel safe and secure. Um, like when it comes to security checks, all that, they really run it very smoothly. And I think it's because
PAX does that very well.
Yeah, PAX. I think for PAX in itself, they do just a phenomenal job with the video game scene.
Yep.
And so they took that and they said, let's just apply that same mentality of safety and being able to come in here and not have to worry about anything. And they really do take a great care with the people. I mean, I could picture PAX Unplugged getting up to bigger than Origins. I could really picture that happening with the way that they run it. And if they keep doing what they're doing with security and they keep running it the way they're doing it, maybe to one day to the level of Gen Con. I don't know. Who knows? But the way that the experience that I had there was just so enjoyable. And I mean, the amount of gaming that they had, the tables and everything, it was very fluid, very fluid.
And that's why I can't wait to go, because I've been to all the other PAXs other than Australia, and I've interacted with their tabletop team who make the tabletop area at those conventions, but they do a lot of the work for PAX Unplugged, and that team just does such a good job. The enforcers that work PAX just make, there's always somebody there to show you where something is or to solve a problem, or if you encounter any sort of like uncomfortable or like hostile situation, they have people who just really care and do a good job of taking care of everybody. So yeah, PAX is great, and I would love to go to Unplugged someday. Looks like James Brazil has a question though. He wants to know what is you and your kids' favorite monsters in King of Tokyo?
King of Tokyo, when it comes to me playing games with my kids, I usually go for the last color or the last
whatever
piece.
they don't want.
Yeah, whatever they don't want. So I've gotten used to having pink and yellow for a lot of things. But for me, I don't really have one that's like that stands out. And my kids, they don't have like a really go-to one except for Elijah. Elijah's all about Cyber Kitty, because it's
Because
a
he's the one
cat.
who likes the
He's
cats.
the
Yep.
one that loves cats. So of course, before we pick out anything else, he picks out Cyber Kitty. We're good. That's it.
If when you're not playing with your kids, do you have a go-to color for like just games in general?
No, honestly, I
Oh
don't.
man,
It's just
it's
for
very
me.
zen of you.
Well, when you're teaching games so much and you're just playing with your kids so much, you just kind of like it's not that big of an idea. I mean, I understand Jeff Eggleston had a amazing science behind people that pick the color blue, which I never get to pick, but which could explain why I lose a lot, but I'm not sure. So, but I mean, at the same time, though, it's not as important as being able to spend time with the people at the table.
Sure.
I mean, seriously, I'm not in that level of competitive nature when it comes to playing games. Don't get me wrong. When I win a game against my kids, I will rub it in for at least a good 5 minutes, kind of do my little dad dance type thing, like, oh yeah, I won,
Pull
I
out that
won.
floss
And
that you
yeah,
practiced at the store.
yeah, it's kind of like that, but honestly, when it just comes to playing a game, I get excited about being able to sit down at the table and playing a game. And I look forward to when I can just play more games with more people. It's really what it is. I picture my next convention, whenever that happens, just being able to enjoy that time with people. So yeah,
That's awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us for this show. Could you just tell everybody again, like, where to find you, where to see what you're up to, and keep tabs on you?
yeah. If you are interested in what we're doing, take a look. You can go onto facebook.com/the Charity Boardgamer, or our Instagram. It's the exact same thing, or our Twitch, which is the exact same thing, or our YouTube, which is the exact same thing. Twitter's just a little bit different because it doesn't allow so many characters. Um, but yeah, you can actually go onto our Twitch. On there, you can click and see some of the charities that we've supported. You can actually go onto our YouTube and look at some of the past videos that we've done. We just did some unboxings recently. That was me that tapped the mic. And then we also just, on Facebook, I kind of feed the stuff from Instagram into Facebook. So you'll see different things that are going on. But all of our interviews, we put on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, because the idea is I want everybody to be able to see it. I don't want it to be like, okay, you have to subscribe and like to this thing, or
Sure.
you have to subscribe and pay for this thing, or you have to go to Facebook. So yeah, it's keep it simple.
Awesome. Well, Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you about what you guys are doing. Keep it up, because it sounds like that's good work, and it sounds like it's something that you really enjoy and care about.
Yeah, our goal is hopefully when conventions do start back up, we'd like to get up there about a day or so early and get people in the community involved. And if we can, do something community service related, whether it be going to a children's hospital or going out to a senior center, or just doing something that's going to benefit, like a homeless shelter or something like that. And then afterwards, enjoying just time playing a game. So that's kind of the goal.
That's awesome. I know at PAX West, there's a group that does like a charity tabletop game night, the night before PAX. Um, and something like that, I've seen at a couple of shows. So if you're looking for ideas, maybe that's a good model to follow.
Oh yeah.
But again, thanks for joining us for the Renegade Society radio show. For everybody else, remember that we stream on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And somebody pointed out we have the random roll on Thursdays, most, if not all, Thursdays. Altered Carbon RPG is out. You can pre-order Hadrian's Wall if you're into that sort of heavy flip and write from Garphill Games. And Renegade Con Virtual, if you want to try some of our games, be taught, and play some games with people, even though we can't get together physically, that's coming up February 12th through 14th. And if you didn't already sign up to get Clip Cut Parks, keyword is community, and Desiree will drop the link for that into the chat. Otherwise, everyone have an excellent night and an excellent weekend. And thank you, Chris, for joining us for the Society Radio Show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Good night, everyone.